Good afternoon, math friends. I've missed seeing you in math class. I hope you and your families are doing well. Today we are going to be talking about time and telling time using an analog and a digital clock. Before we do that, I want us to start thinking about one measure of time, which is called a minute. Think about some things that you can do in a minute. Now, if you're having trouble thinking about what you could do in a minute is 60 seconds. So you could count to yourself slowly to 60 and use that to estimate some things that you could do in a minute. I'm thinking some things that I could do in a minute. Say the alphabet a couple of times. Say the pledge a couple of times. Walk to the drinking fountain at school and get a drink in a minute. A minute is a really quick measure of time. There are 60 minutes in an hour, and today we're going to look at two different types of clocks, digital and analog, and we're going to look at telling time to the hour on both of those clocks. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you so you can see an analog and a digital clock. Okay, the first type of clock that we have up here is the analog clock. Now, think about some things that you remember from math class about the digital or about the analog clock. One thing that you'll remember is that it has two hands. It has the hour hand and it also has the minute hand. The minute hand is the longer hand and the hour hand is the shorter hand. The hour hand points to and tells us the hour. As the hands on the clock move, they move from smaller numbers to larger numbers. This analog clock is showing us that it is 12 o'clock. Okay, I want to show you now another type of clock. This is called a digital clock. Think for just a minute with me. How are these two types of clocks different? Well, you might have said or thought to yourself, the digital clock does not have hands on it like an analog clock. It still has numbers, and I could still show the time using both clocks, but the digital clock does not have hands on it. Okay? So I want to point out to you a couple of things today about the digital clock. First of all, we call these two dots a colon. The number before the colon tells us the hour. This 2 means that it is 2 o'clock as the hour. The numbers after the colon tell us the minutes after the hour. When we see an 00, that means that it is o'clock or 0 minutes after. Today, friends, I'm going to go ahead and flip this back around. Today, you are going to be matching up some analog and digital clocks in your math journal page. And it will look like something like this when you go to match up the analog and digital clocks. Let me share my screen with you again. So on the digital clock, we can see that it is 2 because 2 is before the colon, so I know that's the hour. It is 2 o'clock on the digital clock. When I come over to the analog clock, the clock with hands, I need to look and see if the hour hand or the shorter hand is pointing to 2, and it is. So I know, since that hour hand is pointing directly to the 2, that this clock also says 2 o'clock. So the digital and the analog clock are matching up here, both showing the same time. Today, when you are completing your assignment for me, you will be matching up digital and analog clocks and making them say the same time. So matching 2 o'clock on a digital clock to 2 o'clock on an analog clock. Thank you, friends.